Hello students, today I am going to teach the topic software process models for cloud. So let's proceed with the concept software process models for cloud. The success or quality of software project is measured by whether it is developed within a time and budget and by its efficiency, usability, dependability, and maintainability. The whole development process of software from its conceptualization to operation and retirement is called the software development lifecycle, that is a SDLC. So SDLC goes through several framework activities like requirements gathering, which you call as a requirement analysis, planning, requirement design, coding phase, testing phase, deployment phase, maintenance, and retirement phase. These activities are synchronized in accordance to the process model adapted for a particular software development. There are many process models to choose from depending on the size of the project, delivery time requirement, and type of the project. For example, the process model selected for the development of an Avonic embedded system will be different from the one selected for the development of a web application. As these software process models for the cloud consist of different software models. So there are various software development models or methodologies such as waterfall model, V model, incremental model, RAD model, agile model, iterative model, and spiral model. Now we will discuss this software model for the cloud in a detail. Let's talk about the first model, that is a waterfall model. This is most common lifecycle model and is also referred to as a linear sequential lifecycle model. In a waterfall model, each phase must be completed in its entirely before the next phase begins. At the end of each phase, a review takes place to determine if the project is on the right path or not to continue the project. This is about the waterfall model. Let's talk about the V model. The V-shaped model means verification and validation model. Just like the waterfall model, the V-shaped model is a sequential path of execution of processes. Each phase must be completed before the next phase begins. Testing of the product is planned and in parallel with corresponding phase of development. So this is happening in the V-shaped model of the cloud. Then we'll talk about the incremental model which is used in the cloud. The incremental model is an initiative approach to the waterfall model. Multiple development cycles takes place in this model, like in making the life cycle multi-waterfall cycle. The cycles are divided into smaller, more easily managed iterations. The iteration pass through the requirements, design, implementation, and testing phase, and during the first iteration, a working version of software is generated. So in this incremental model, there are number of iterations are present. Accordingly, development still continue since the expected application or software gets produced. So this is incremental model as a software process model for the cloud. Let's talk about the another model, that is a RAD model, then agile model or agile process, then iterative model. Let's talk about the RAD model. In this RAD model, that is a rapid application development. Like that, in software engineering, there is a JAD model, that is a joint application development. Number of times it's talked about that when we want a expected outcome, we want a good quality of software, that time RAD and JAD models are used in the software industry. Let's talk about the RAD model. Rapid application development model is a type of incremental model. In the RAD model, the functions or components are generated in parallel, and these generated outcomes are time box, delivered, and then combined to a working prototype. This can quickly give the customer something to operate and to give feedback about requirements. Then we'll come on the agile model. So what is this? The agile model is also an incremental model where the software is developed in a rapid incremental cycles. The development results in a tiny incremental releases and is based on previously built functionality, and it's carefully tested to ensure software quality. So, for maintaining the software quality purpose, agile model, the agile process is implemented in software process model for the cloud. In a time critical application, this agile model is preferred more. Extreme programming is one of the popular example of this development lifecycle model, that is a XP development. Now let's talk about the iterative software process model for the cloud. So in this iterative model, the name itself suggests that there are certain set of iteration, and the set of iteration gets executed one after another till we will get our expected outcome or expected software. So in this iterative model, it does not start with full specification of requirements, but it begins by specifying and implementing just a part of software, which then be reviewed in order to identify further requirements. This process is then repeated. As I told, there is a set of process or that set of iterations, producing a new version of software for each cycle of the model. So in this iteration, this set of iteration get executed one after another till we will get our expected software or good quality of software. With this, we have another models like a spiral model. Let's talk about this spiral software process model for the cloud. So in this spiral model, it is similar to the increment model with more emphasis on risk analysis. The spiral model has four phases. One is a planning phase, another is a risk analysis phase, next is the engineering phase, and last is the evaluation phase. In this model, the software project repeatedly passes through each phases in iteration called as a spirals. The baseline spiral starts at the planning phase, requirements are gathered, and risk is assessed. Each subsequent spiral builds on the baseline spiral. So here these are the different phases like an planning, risk analysis, engineering and evaluation, which are placed in a one iteration, and that is referred as a spiral. So every software development has undergone to this under every spiral until this is executed its spiral way so that the expected outcome has been delivered. So this is about the spiral model. Now with this, let's talk about the how agile software development life cycle is implemented for the cloud computing. So as we learn in the agile method, it is also an incremental model where software is developed in a rapid and incremental cycle. So in the rapidly changing computing environment in a web services and cloud platforms, software development is going to be very challenging. Software development process will involve heterogeneous platform, distributed web services, and multiple enterprises geographically dispersed all over the world. In this existing software process model and framework activities are not adequate unless interaction with a cloud provider is included. So requirements gathering phase so far included customers, users and software engineers who are software developers. Now it has to include the cloud provider as well, as they will providing the computing infrastructure and its maintenance, as only the cloud providers will know the size, architectural details, virtualization strategy, and resource utilization of infrastructure. They should also be included in the planning and design phases of software development. Coding and testing can be done on the cloud platform, which is a huge benefit as everybody will have easy access to the software being built. This will reduces the cost and time for testing the validation. So this is implementation about the agile SDLC for cloud computing. So in the cloud environment, software developers can use web services and open source software freely available from cloud instead of procuring them. Software developers build software from readily available components rather than writing it all and building a monolithic application. Refactoring of existing application is required to best utilize the cloud infrastructure architecture in a cost effective ways. In the latest hardware technology, the computer are multi-core and network, and the software engineers should train themselves in a parallel and distributed computing to complement these advances of hardware and networking technologies. Cloud providers will insist that software should be as modular as possible for occasional migration from one server to another for LB, that is a load balancer, is required by the cloud service provider. As software development lifecycle or system development lifecycle is a framework. Under that, there are various models like an RAD model, waterfall model, V-shaped model, incremental model, iterative model, then spiral model. So these that define the task to be performed and each steps in the software development process. Cloud computing provides an almost instant access to the software and development environments by providing multi-tenancy of virtualized servers and other IT infrastructure. Specifically, a platform as a service. The development platform environment in the cloud encourages the use of agile methodologies or agile process or agile model. Agile and platform as a service together add a great value to the software development lifecycle process. They helps in reducing cost for enterprises in the long run and help in increasing the developer productivity at the same time. So definitely there are certain features of cloud software development lifecycle. Yes, the future consists of different traditional aspects like an inclination towards agile methodology, customizable software development lifecycle framework for different stages, then installation and configuration guideline. So SDLC for cloud computing is a different from traditional SDLC software development lifecycle in ways like an inclination towards agile methodology. That is, cloud SDLC can utilize methodologies such as agile SDLC. These are designed for iterative approach to development and fast development life cycles. Also, another way is an customizable SDLC framework for different stages. As cloud computing SDLC must have capabilities to be customized according to the requirement of the product. In other words, the elasticity and the robustness of cloud computing environment can be best utilized if the SDLCs for cloud are customizable. It is a very much important thing that it should be customizable. There is another features in terms of cloud SDLC, that is a installation and configuration guidelines. So SDLC for cloud must provide implementation approach and guidelines for installation and configuration of cloud depending on its size. The guidelines must be ensure that installation and configuration of infrastructure and application environment are completed appropriately according for different stages of SDLC, including operations and maintenance. And these guidelines are the key to differentiating SDLC for cloud from the traditional SDLC. So definitely there are certain advantages of this agile model as a software process model for the cloud. Now this advantages is like that in terms of faster time to market, quick ROI, then shorter release cycles, then better quality. Also, it will better adaptivity and responsiveness for the business. Then early detection of failure or falling the project. Now, these are the certain advantages of one of the software process model for the cloud. As in every software process model, they are famous for faster time to market. So, since the software is developed using lesser time in the every software process model, it reduces the time an organization takes to launch the product into the market. If you compute with the one of the software process model with an agile, so in the agile it reduces the time to an organization which will require to develop the software. So immediately it will give a good quality of software. Also, agile is one of the software process model. They are famous for the better quality since the agile development model ensures the maximum interaction among the stakeholders during the entire process of the development. It increases the overall quality of the product. So, as this various software process model of the cloud definitely give certain better quality, some better adaptability, then faster time to a market, and which are used for the cloud as a agile, spiral, rad, then iterative model, then waterfall and incremental model. So all are the software process model for the cloud. Thank you.